Talking Again podcast.
Talking again, yeah. Welcome to the podcast. Might talk a little shit, get a little brash. Might drink a little bit, smoke a little bit, vibe a little bit, laugh a little bit, yeah. Hosted by Fidel. Tell it like it is, only tell it real. Live every Tuesday, you know the deal. We talking again, we talking again. You now tuned in to the tap in.
Going back into high school, when I used to do, remember vocab? You show up to like English class and you have to do like 10 vocabulary, 10 words or whatever it was, like the first thing as soon as you get to class. You know, I would never ever study those, but like 15 minutes before class, I would sit there and write the word and then the definition, the word definition, sit them and write them down.
Fresh in your head.
Fresh in my head, and then I put it away, and then I would always get 100, 10 out of 10, every single time. Never.
I wouldn't write them, but I would. Say I'd read it. I'd be like, okay.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Because like, luckily, like even like if you did the, I'm like, hey, give me that really quick. Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
that's good.
I just read it.
Yeah.
So I just need to read it once. And like that's how I'm like. I translated that into like sports. So like, there's sometimes where like people are talking.
How long does it stay in your noggin?
That type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like let's say it's 10 words, there'll be like maybe 5 that'll stay with me, and then I'll use that word and like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah.
So there'll be some words like that, or I translated that into sports. So now like, let's say we're talking about a player. Sometimes I'm random like, oh yeah, he has like 600 career home runs or something, or like he's batting 580 something.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, and they'll look and they'll be like, no, I don't think he is. I'm like, yeah, he is. And they'll look at him like, oh shit. I'm like, it's just weird shit.
Yeah.
Useless shit is in my head all the time.
Well, I don't know. For me, I have to write it down.
Yeah.
In order for me to memorize it. Otherwise, if I just read it like that, I can't. So when I read a book, I read it.
Fuck, I haven't read a book in a long time.
Yeah, I know. It's been the last time I read a book, because I read a script, and my buddy sent me a script to read, and he's still working on the show. And once he's done with it, we'll get him on. But I'm not sure if I'm recording. Should I record? Yeah, fuck it. We'll go live. You guys, real quick. My guest today or this week, I should say, is Chris of the Kickback Podcast. Kickback Podcast LA. Why is it LA? I know the answer, but I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay. Usually when you look up the Kickback or something, I'm not like this wise person that like came up with this amazing name,
of course,
or a clever name.
Yeah,
there's a fucking ton of them. But the one thing I found out, there's no Kickback LA.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, boom, Kickback LA.
Kickback Podcast LA.
That's it.
You know that one of the searches that I did earlier today was Kickback Podcast, and the one that came up, it was just the Kickback Podcast.
Yeah.
And the guy's name was Chris.
Oh, that's weird.
His name was Chris. I forgot his last name.
Have you ever Googled yourself?
No. So people keep telling me like you should try it, but I'm like.
So a lot of people told me to try it. I'm like,
but how many Chris Gonzaleses would there be?
There's a few, but I remember like looking at, and then you're like, I'm not like the first one, but you'll kind of like scroll through the first page. I'm like, hey, where's the page? But then if you put obviously like Chris Gonzales podcast, I'm like, bam, one.
The first one.
I'm like right there.
Wow.
So I'm afraid.
Like, oh, wow. I'm afraid. But
Yeah.
what if I'm like on the 15th page? And it's like, oh, there I am.
I was surprised because usually the first page is for people who like pay to be on the first page.
Oh, right.
So I was like, oh shit.
That's the equivalent of the check mark on Twitter and Instagram, right?
The day I get that, I'd say I retire.
How important is that check mark?
I can give two shit. People like really, really like it. Dude, it's a big thing for the people.
People send emails like, hey, how come I'm not verified yet?
Yeah. I've seen on the Instagram, because that's the main thing I use. It'll be like apply to see if you're verified or something like that. Or there's a part on the settings.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I really want to do that? I was like, no. Because I know I'm going to get a no response or something like that.
Yeah.
It'll happen. If it happens, it happens.
But if you're Chris Gonzales podcast and you're the first one, I mean, you probably get verified. I got a
screenshot that.
You'll probably get verified a lot faster than most podcasters.
Just based off, I gotta. You know what? I'm gonna try it.
You know what? Here's why. Here's my theory. And it's not just like a you know, an assumption, a guess. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like I've been listening to talk radio, not just podcasting, but we're talking about talk radio.
I'm on the same page.
Okay, I go way back. I'm a lot older than you. How old are you? 20.
I'm 26.
26. I'm a lot older than you.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, in some states, I can be your father.
Yeah. Hey, there's people who have kids at 14 years old.
I'm 40 years old.
There it is.
You know what I mean? I could be your dad.
There it is.
Hijo.
Listen.
No, but yeah, I go way back to like we're talking Howard Stern.
Okay.
Back in NBC days, you know.
Yeah.
We're talking Tom Leykis.
Okay.
You know, Frosty, Heidi, and Frank. That's a little sooner, but
that Frosty, Heidi, and Frank for sure. That was the biggest thing my dad was into.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
wait. So then, if he was into them, he was probably into Tom Leykis.
Yeah.
So he knows about Flash Friday.
Oh yeah. If you it's crazy that when someone says like, how'd you get into this? Oh, I don't know. I just had. It's like little things like that, like driving to practice for so many years, listening to talk radio because my dad will only listen to that.
Yeah.
Or driving, you know, in the morning, listening to Heidi and Frank. I was probably, 18 years old when I first got my car. Like every morning, I would be driving to school.
Yeah.
Heidi and Frank. And then I wasn't around for like Frosty, Heidi and Frank.
Yeah.
Like when I was tuned in, it was just Heidi and Frank. And I remember, I think it was maybe I was like 20 years old. They made an announcement like Frosty's coming back.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I remember going to my dad. I was like, hey, you know, Frosty's coming back. And he was like, oh my God. Like he was tripping out. And I remember just so yeah, Frosty, Heidi and Frank, big ones for me. And then growing up, my barber was a big Howard Stern guy.
Oh yeah.
So like from the age of like,
but would he watch it or listen to it?
He would listen to it. So from like the age of like, because he was the only barber that I ever had since 8 years old going up.
Still to this day?
Yeah.
Oh,
Louis,
shit.
shout out to Louis Telegraph Barbers.
Nice.
Hiding Frank. Even I guarantee you walk into that barbershop, he's probably listening. He's either listening to Howard Stern or he's watching a movie, like a classic movie.
Yeah. Old school.
A old school classic movie.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on.
The talk radio thing is big because that's where, God, I mean, do you remember Tom Leykis at all?
Not that much.
Okay, Tom Leykis had these commandments. I don't know if they're the 10 commandments, but they're commandments. I don't know how many there were.
Mm.
You guys are listening and know, send me down a DM and let me know if there were 10 or not. Shit, if you extra credit, if you'll get a straight up shout out if you know the actual commandments
on the spot.
I'm sure you can Google it. And they'll cheat, and that's okay. You can cheat. I'll still give you a shout out.
We're on the honor system here.
Yeah, we are on our system, but he had commandments, and it was these are like the things that he lived off of, and it was like dating, and it had to do with a lot of it with women, right?
Okay.
How to treat women, shit like that. It was classic male chauvinist kind of dude. Like,
oh, he'd be canceled.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh fuck yeah, dude. He would be canceled. I mean, he still does a radio show, but I think it's a podcast type of thing. Like it's an internet streaming deal. I don't listen to him anymore. I grew, I advanced. Like Howard Stern, you're familiar with the term "jump the shark"?
No,
that's old school. Again, Howard Stern jumped the shark. He used to have one of his producers that would come on, and he got hired on when he went to Sirius Satellite Radio. I forget the name of the guy, but he's actually coined that phrase "jump the shark" because he had an article, a page on some kind of a newspaper or magazine in New York, and "jump the shark" pretty much means that you're played out.
Damn,
like you're played out. That's it. Like you've jumped the shark. You're oversaturated. We know some podcasters that are oversaturated already, right?
That makes sense.
You've jumped the shark.
Now that phrase makes sense.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, Howard Stern jumped the shark. Tom Leykis eventually jumped the shark for me. Now, there's people obviously still listen to him.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that I've expanded, like now I got into sports because I started listening, again, talk radio when I was like 16 or 17 years old.
Yeah, that was the thing,
high
though.
School. Even in Spanish, el cucuy de la mañana.
When I would drive with my dad, Heidi and Frank, all that stuff. When I drive with my mom, oh my God, dude. Nonstop.
El cucuy.
Yeah, that. And I'm trying to think of the morning.
Oh, el piolín.
Yeah, I think it was.
El Cucuy, because I'm older. El Piolín was a little.
Yeah, I think it was that.
Yeah.
She that's all she would listen to. So it's great. I'm kind of glad that I had those experiences because I'm sure kids growing up now, like on their way to school, I doubt they're listening to that. Yeah. Because at the same time now they have their own iPad, iPhone.
Yeah, they got their own shit. Yeah.
So they're just listening to whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Whereas like back then it's like, guess what? Mom put this on. So for this whole ride, you're listening to this.
Yeah. And
don't even bother asking to change the channel.
Right.
To change the station.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'll get back to that topic on that, but yeah, I agree with that. With kids and educating them nowadays is totally different. It's changed. You know, the game has changed. So raising kids is not the same as when my parents raised me.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the talk radio,
yeah.
Because I grew up on that, and I say I grew up on it because that's, you know, when my mind started developing was, you know, in your 18s, 20s, you know, that's when your mind was developing. And I was like, all right, I was always into where I still appreciated music and I'm still going to listen to it and everything. But because I don't geek out on anything, I guess talk radio would be one of the things that I was geeking out on before.
That is your thing.
Still do. Because now I'm hosting a podcast, which I'm, you know, I don't call myself a professional because I think most of us are just doing it just to do it because we can. It's easy to do it, and especially with this whole pandemic. Where I was getting at too was you do have a professionalism when you're podcasting.
I appreciate that.
And that's just not because I know your history from listening to your show. As to like your broadcasting school, you actually took those courses, and outside of like most podcasters that have not done any of that.
Yeah, those are
not even like a YouTube or an online course.
Those are stuck with me though.
Okay, but you've gained something from that, and I think probably the biggest thing that you gained, I in my opinion, timing. Your timing is par. Is up there,
appreciate it,
dude. Like it's like you know when to come in, when not to. You know what questions to ask, how to ask them, and then the follow up. Like you're like there's a professionalism there, and I can I'm not lying to you. All the podcasters that I've listened to that we would call ourselves like local podcasters because you got these mainstreamers.
That's a good term.
Mainstreamers, right?
Local podcasters.
But local podcasters, you'd probably be the one professional one on the top list. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass.
I appreciate that. And it's funny because I feel like I have gone away from that because honestly, I consider myself, if I want to do an interview, I think I'm a good interviewer.
Yeah.
But I've gone away from that because I enjoy doing the kickback and kind of just joking around with my friends. But at the same time, I get that itch of like, I want to interview someone. I want to like get to know someone and, you know, get to learn, get to ask questions that no one's ever asked them. Because like when I listen to some other local podcasters and I'm like, ooh, there's still meat on the bone.
Yeah.
There needs to be a part 2 or it needs to be longer. So I credit that to not just like doing the radio stuff and learning the classes, but honestly, that guy that ran the radio station was Casey Petrowski that I've mentioned before.
Right.
He's sitting down. I've probably had unrecorded, probably like 100 podcasts with him.
Oh, really?
Me and him would just sit down
and talk.
And he would just, because I don't know if it was like, you know, 18-year-old people, 19, 20-year-olds that are in college, they're not trying to listen to like some old man talk.
Right.
Whereas for me, I enjoy learning about those things.
Yeah.
So I would sit there an hour before my show and he'd be, you know, grading papers or doing this or doing that, getting new ads or new partners. And we would just talk and talk and talk. And he would just, I'm like, oh, how do you do this? Or how do you like do an interview? And like, excuse me, it was like a one-on-one crash course of just how to do it. So I credit him for all that. And I wish everyone had that Casey Petrowski in their life because he was just, like I said, anything you needed to know, he knew it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like for an old man, like he was like on it. So I credit him for all of that.
Yeah. No, and you can tell that you being, because there's a lot of people that will sit and talk with people, but old timers or whatever, professionals that are experienced, but they're not genuine, and you could tell that when you're talking, part a little like myself, like when I'm asking a question, it's genuine. Like I may have these notes and may not even touch on any of them because the conversation didn't go there.
That's what I do,
and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having to go, oh shit, I forgot to ask it. Hey, if the conversation didn't take, because that's the reason why I started this, was that we don't have to do shit like this, right? But if the conversation takes you somewhere else, that makes it very genuine, and those fuckers out there watching, and I say fuckers very as a
loving manner,
term of endearment.
For sure. Because you know what, you're our fucker.
You're my fuckers.
Yeah,
you're our fuckers, my fuckers, your fuckers. But when those fuckers out there watching or listening, they'll know if this is bullshit or not.
Oh, dude.
And some of them will even have the balls and the cojones, because behind the keyboard, we already know how brave you are, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they'll tell you, how bad you are.
Dude,
I swear, I have not. I wish I could say that I've gotten bad reviews, but at the same token, I haven't even gotten good reviews.
I haven't gotten bad reviews.
I need some type of review.
I haven't gotten bad reviews, but I've gotten like comments or like, oh, I noticed this, or like, oh, I noticed, like, did you get mad or did you get like frustrated about this? And I'd be honest with like, oh yeah, that part, like, yeah, or like little things like that. But when you talk about timing, I appreciate that, because what we're doing is a lot of like, there's a lot of storytelling involved, and the one thing that I hate is like to step on someone's story.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, like, especially like if it's a good one and there's like a banger at the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'll let you go and build it. And then there's those people that are like, oh, this happened? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you fucking, you were like, we're going up the mountain here. We're going up that like roller coaster, and now we're going backwards.
Yeah.
So, but then there's those moments of like interjecting into the story where it's like, ooh, that'd be funny to add.
Yeah.
But so timing is big when it comes to like those types of podcasts where you're telling stories and stuff. Yeah.
Knowing when to interject or how to, like, sometimes they might be saying a story where you just say something like devil nipples.
Yeah.
What? But I mean, it just made sense, and there's no anything added onto it.
Yeah, but if you would have said devil and I'd be like dick, and be like, so no, like now you kind of like took the air out of the balloon.
Yeah.
Where I was like I'm getting to this story and I'm like, I'm blowing up the balloon, and I'm getting ready to let it go, and then you kind of just like pop.
You pop it
before, and you're like, oh fuck, man.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of shows like that, and yeah, definitely as a listener or viewer, because some people watch, it definitely takes a lot of air out of that balloon. No pun intended, right? But it does take a lot of that air out, because you're like,
there's build up.
You want to climax with them, right?
Yeah.
And then you just missed out on it. That's like you're about to climax, and no, here we
go. You'll see on our podcast or any podcast I've been, the hardest I've ever laughed are on podcasts. Probably like, yeah, I'm glad to say that like some of the hardest times of me like dying laughing have been recorded.
Yeah.
And if you notice those moments, those were all moments of like build up, where it's like I'm dying laughing and you just hear me like, oh fuck, like I didn't even think that was coming, or like just those types of things. Like those are the moments I live for. Like when we podcast is like I'm trying to think of a perfect example, but one will come to me right now.
Yeah. Well, and I know, we talked about, the timing and hosting and interviewing, the professionalism.
Yeah.
Even though you guys are just kicking back, just recording and having the conversation, which storytelling, which is the best type of podcasting you can even listen to. I mean, you guys can check out the show. There's still a way of managing all that, and I feel like you do a lot of that, and maybe you're not doing it on purpose or anything, but like you can see how you're orchestrating kind of the thing. Obviously, the guys are chiming in and doing their part.
I like that you notice it, because you do it. You're a podcaster too, so yeah, you notice that
definitely. Like Now I don't know how much effort you're putting into that, or if it's just natural. That's kind of where I'm more along the lines of interested. Is that something that you orchestrate? Like you go in there, you thinking about all that stuff, or is that something that you just comes naturally? You just do.
So definitely in the beginning, when it was myself, Jesse, and Jay, definitely in the beginning, because they had never done like the only podcast they had done was one time where we did my sports podcast, and it was just about sports that they know.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable,
easy. Yeah.
Whereas when we did the kickback, you can tell that I was like, I might have been leading them on to a story that they knew, or asking them questions that I knew, like, I know you have a funny story about that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, like the point guard.
Yeah. I'm not telling them that what I'm going to ask them, but I'm kind of like giving them a layup.
Yeah.
And then when we got Louie and Abe in, I kind of did it again with them. Because me, Jay, Jesse, and myself had that flow. Like, they kind of figured it out. And then when Abe and Louie came on, they were kind of, they've been a guest here and there, but they were like, all right, now you're a part of the show.
Yeah.
You're part of the weekly show.
You have to contribute in some way, right?
Exactly, because people are listening every week, and I don't want them to just be like hearing me and Jesse and then like you guys in the background every now and then.
Yeah.
I want you to be just as part of the show as Jesse and I. So you can tell when they came in, same thing. I know a lot of their stories, but I know that there's a lot of stuff that I've never asked them that I wouldn't mind asking them on a podcast.
Yeah.
To where my reaction would be genuine. So there is a lot that goes into it that maybe they don't even know, their listeners don't even know, but there is somewhat, me behind the curtain, kind of like, doing all the pulling some strings. But there's been so many times, genuine times, like, I know this isn't like that type of show, but just the other episode where Jesse, and he is a legit podcaster. Jesse's he could probably host his own show if he wanted to, but he would never do it because he's doing this for fun for me.
Yeah.
When he literally just out of left field just said, "Hey, have you guys ever had your balls sucked?" And I was like, "What?" I know it's not that type of show, but I was like, "What?" I was like, I don't think we've never even had that conversation outside of podcasts.
Yeah.
And it just came out of nowhere. And it was like that proud moment. I was like, yeah, like, you got it, dude. Like that's what we're doing. We're just spitballing. We're throwing shit at the wall.
See what sticks.
Yeah. And that stuck, dude. And I was dying laughing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just stuff like that. So now, and then Abe and Louie, to their credit, they're really in it. Like, they really want to be contributors of the show.
Yeah.
Whereas like, yeah, I'm just doing it to like fucking be here on Tuesday because I got shit to. No, they're really trying. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. I like seeing that. Seeing that.
Do they see like something like potentially growing out of there, like other shows, like a spinoff, if you would?
That's good. I've talked to Louie about it because he's really into golf and he really, really knows about golf, and I know that there is a market for that where it's like because people think of golf and they think like, preppy people or like stuck up people.
Yeah.
But in reality,
they think you have to be rich. You have to have your own business.
Exactly. This guy's been golfing since he was like 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he is in that world to the point where that world of golf isn't like that preppy person or rich person. There's so many people that like me and you, or like, our level of, class of people where it's like, where they're just doing it to bullshit and have fun. Whereas like, if you were to see those people out in the range, you're dying laughing. I've been out golfing with random people and like, this is amazing. Yeah. So like, if you were to add that into a podcast, it'd be golden.
Nice.
So I could see him. Abe, he's really into fitness, and I know like he's gone to school for it and everything. So I feel like for him, fitness type of thing would be really big for him. So I don't think they're ready to do it on their own.
Yeah.
They might be a little intimidated, but I think eventually they'd get to it.
Well, it's a good workout. Definitely being on the podcast with you. So, and learning from, I would say one of the best doing it.
Thank you.
So what's your opinion on a niche podcast? Do you think those hit better than like ours? Ours are like more generic. Well, for example, mine would be more of a general thing. There's not a niche. It's like
There's not a specific
There's
topic.
not a specific topic.
Yeah.
Anybody that comes in wants to promote themselves will do it. It's all about promoting a business, artists that I have on. Do you think those niche ones, like if you're gonna go strictly Dodgers podcast, a strictly Lakers podcast, or golf, like just a golf podcast, you think those hit more, have a better advantage or better, than ours?
A better advantage? I don't think they do. But if you're just getting started, that would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Because let's say we're just focusing on the Dodgers. We can talk about, the games that are coming up. We could talk about, some injuries, some trades, some people that we want to bring in, talk about the coaching staff, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's an easier way to get your feet wet. Whereas, like, let's say you tell someone, hey, I want you to do a podcast. What is it about? It's about nothing. You come every Tuesday and talk about whatever you want. That's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because every Tuesday when we record, I honestly don't know what we're talking about. Like, there's days where I'm like, because we record at 7:30 Tuesdays, and I'm just like, all right, the fucking music's playing, the intro, and I'm just like, I haven't seen these guys all week. I haven't seen them since last Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. All right, well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. And it's just that would be a lot harder for a beginner.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if we know we're talking about the Dodgers, we can be like, oh yeah, did you guys see the game last night? And
you
like
have your notes, your research, everything.
exactly.
Done. Yeah.
So if you're trying to get into it, go with one topic, or do it how we did it. Have a group of friends, and it'll be a lot easier if you want to just jump right into it with random conversations.
So your answer now is based on the podcaster side, right? Podcaster's point of view.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Now let's talk about how getting the views, getting the likes.
Okay.
As far as like you think you have a more of an advantage because now you can narrow in on a certain topic as opposed to more general. So you have a huge range, but because it's so huge, it's harder to get them.
Yeah,
come on.
That's what I was gonna say. It's easier to get if I'm doing a Dodgers podcast. Yeah. I know my market.
Right.
I'm gonna follow everyone in the fucking world that lives in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that lives in probably even the West Coast.
Yeah.
Like I just follow everyone so that way they get my name out there. Like, hey, this is a Dodger podcast. We're all about
follow all the Dodger fan pages and start.
Yeah, go to the Dodger page,
mentioning them and all
exactly. That. So I would do that. Whereas, and then the biggest one right now is like those crime podcasts or those are the big ones.
I had to stop listening to those bad boys.
Those are crazy. I like them, but they're wild. Some of these stories are wild. See, so that's like a market that's like all I want to hear about are fucked up people.
Yeah,
and those were like that's all I want to hear about.
Yeah,
or I want to hear about the craziest murders, or I want to hear about the craziest serial killer.
Right.
The top 10 or whatever, like those are cool, and I feel like those are easier to get an audience, and that's why people do, because they can pull an audience, and then they do season 1, season 2. I can't do seasons. I don't know how people do it. I wish I could do it, but it's like, how do you do like 10 episodes and then take a break?
Yeah, dude, I can't.
I feel like I'd lose everybody.
Yeah.
I lose like all the work that I did to get people to listen. I would lose it.
Yeah, but that and yeah. I kind of agree, but I know like looking at their side, the way they're doing it is they're putting everything in on those 10 episodes. Not saying that you're not putting in everything on the 10 that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
But they're putting in everything on those 10 episodes to just make them 100%. Every single episode is gold.
A lot of editing involved. There's a lot of like a lot of homework involved. There's a lot of script. Like if you listen to those podcasts, there's a lot of scripts that they're writing, like they're reading off, because they have to get the facts right. Like this happened at 7:30, then this happened, then so and so called the police at the so they're reading off this stuff. So I notice, and people who regular listeners, they notice all the work that goes in there. Yeah. So I can understand like if I were to be doing that every fucking week, I probably would have to quit my job.
No, I think they do that at, like full time. Like, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like, they're producers and they have 8 people that you only hear 2 on the episode, and there's 8 of them. Or they list a list of 10. But it's all that work that goes behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they look at that as an actual series, a show, right? Like
it is, yeah.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
That's what, like, I don't mind the seasons, but it works for that market,
right?
I guess you could do like an interview based, like, here are my 10 guests for season 1.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm more like a weekly show type of thing, where it's like, hey, this is what happened this week, and let's talk about this that happened in the world or whatever, or this fucking crazy thing happened to me this weekend, or because then if I did seasons, there'd be stuff that happened to me or stories that happen, and now I gotta feel like I write them down, or like, because I'm gonna forget them.
Start journalizing them.
Yeah, so it loses its like moment, like that moment, like, oh, I can't. There's been moments like this, like, I can't wait to talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah,
and like, it's coming up. It's Tuesday, and I'll be like, texting my friend, like, because we'll hang out like on the weekend. It's when we say we are best friends, like, all of us hang out all the time.
Yeah. So
like, Tuesday isn't the only day we hang out. Like, Jesse, I legit work with Jesse every day.
Oh, okay.
So things like that, when it's like, oh, especially now that we work together, we kind of look at each other like, oh, that's gonna be a good one to talk about. Like, so it's cool in that sense.
Yeah.
I've asked you before, have you ever thought about having a co-host? And I know you've said
I had a co-host.
You've had one in the past.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what podcast I was on. I was talking to Jaime about this because I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago. The duo, if you would ever start a new podcast, would you ever start a new podcast with someone else?
Maybe I would entertain it, I guess.
The duo that and I'm sure everyone else would love.
I did hear that.
It would be you and Andy.
Yeah, I did hear that.
To see you guys sit together once a week and just trade stories about whatever, or just talk about whatever, I would be listening to that every week.
Really?
I 100% would.
See,
and then trickle in a guest, and you guys are both great interviewers, so it would be awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would say, like, Andy and I are very similar. Like, we do the same thing, so it'll be, I don't know. Who knows, right? We would have to try it out, because when I had him on here, I've never been on his podcast, but when I had him on,
Andy,
yeah, what's up, man? Come on. I'm available, you guys. I'm reachable. You guys just have to.
He's been on mine. Yeah.
Well, we did it through Zoom, right?
Yeah.
But that worked. What was it called? Kicking Back with Chris.
Yep.
So, I would definitely do it. Wait, I think I was on his podcast, but remember how he was doing like one where he would do it with 2 people that same night.
Yeah.
Not like at the same time, but like one right after another.
Mm-hmm.
I was on his podcast, but anyways, I don't know how it would work out. We'd have to try it out, Andy. We'd have to try it out.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I honestly,
because now again, we have to have the mindset of we're not interviewing with each other. We're not interviewing each other. We're just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I like, and it really came home with me when you guys were on, when we had you, Andy, Driscoll Kid, Jaime, when we were all together just bullshitting. That was
fun, yeah.
I was like, dude, this is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Because everyone sees you guys in the interview seat. Like, everyone sees you interviewing people, asking the questions and, driving home the show. As soon as when I saw that, I was like, dude, this is perfect. Like, you guys have so many, whether it's life experience, whether it's stories, whether it's just regular things like knowledge.
Yeah.
You two together would be awesome to listen to. Like a week, like
Yeah.
every week, or even if it's every other week, whatever, it doesn't matter. I would love to see you guys sit down and talk, like, and see where that goes, because I personally think that a lot more podcasters there's a lot of us who are doing our own thing.
Right.
I feel like there needs to be more of us who partner up together and it would help each other. It would help us more because we're all focused on like our own thing.
Right.
I can't imagine if like, let's say you and Andy were to do something together, like not just, the numbers and all that. Those are obviously important, but not as important. But you two doing it together would build it. It'd be a lot better than you just being by yourself.
Like a transformer,
Exactly.
A Power Ranger. Boom, boom.
Yeah. The more, especially because you guys are like, let's say me and Jaime do something together. Me and him both know that we're invested in this, like doing it at least once a week or something like that. Or we can find the time to do it on a consistent basis. Whereas, he might have his group that, Jaime is kind of like the leader of the group who kind of, drives that show.
The cult leader.
He calls himself cult leader. Yeah, same thing. Like
self-proclaimed.
I think more podcasters need to, team up together. So that way we can get a little bit further.
I agree. I agree. I think timing is going to be very difficult, right? Especially so obviously you're 26, you're starting off, you're just getting.
Oh yeah. My free time is 1,000% different than your free time.
Right. So like me, just you.
Even for Andy too.
For Andy, exactly.
Two guys who have families.
Oh. And then not only that, we're miles apart from each other. He's all the way out there in the valley and I'm over here in a different valley, San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
It's, 818 area. So that would be different. That'd be challenging just on its own.
Maybe in a perfect world.
Once a month, maybe. I don't know. Who knows, right? But who knows? It would be fun. I would entertain that. Yeah, definitely. I would entertain that idea. If it fits in the schedule,
and I've seen your schedule. Your schedule is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. So as it is, it's already hard.
I'm not surprised that there's someone else waiting right outside. Just like,
no, I've had that actually before.
Oh, do you see? I can't. I'd be like beads of sweat. Like,
I was like, all right, we're gonna do one here, and then cut it off, and then bring in the other one.
You are fucking wild.
I did 3 one time. Just one night, I did 3.
Back to back to back.
We lined them up.
Oh my god, you're crazy, dude. Never in my wild. I would just say, hey guys, we're all gonna do this together.
Yeah. If you're a listener or you're a follower of the show, you let me know if you know which 3, because then you would be able to tell, right?
Would you? If you're just wearing the same shit, though.
If I was
right, unless you were like wardrobe change and
there it is, yeah.
I gotta put a new hat on.
I've done that.
I would do that, dude. Especially if I know like, oh, this is coming out week 2. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna go inside real quick.
Yeah,
can change.
The whole thing is not letting you, the viewer, the listener, letting you guys in on it. As in like I recorded this weeks in advance, like that's the whole thing. My whole thing was trying not to let you guys find out, how I do things. But yeah, I mean, it's not like a secret. I mean, I would get, Andy calls me all the time, like, hey man, what do you think about this? And how do you do this? And fuck, of course I would share everything, dude. Like, I don't think that I have, I don't think I'm doing a great job at podcasting. I'm just doing my job, what I'm love to do. And it's like going, I've always described it as fishing, right? People go fishing as a hobby.
Yeah.
I like podcasting. That's what I do as a hobby. People fish a certain way. People podcast a certain way.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm doing it the right way.
I don't think there is a right way.
This is my way.
There's
podcasting
no right
is
way.
Podcasting.
There's so many people in this world that like different things.
Right.
And like I said, I've said it on every podcast. Like, you and I probably share a portion of followers or listeners,
right,
and followers,
right.
So you and I, like, let's say this podcast and the Kickback, they're a little different. It's 4 20-year-olds just bullshitting all the time. You're doing interviews every week. It's different, but at the same time, we still have some of the same listeners.
Yeah,
2 different styles, 2 different types of podcasts, but still have some of the same listeners.
Yeah.
So there isn't really a right way of doing it.
And yeah, there isn't. And this is why I always think of it as not of a competition when we're talking about podcasters. That's why whenever I see people beefing with each other, when it comes to like podcasting, I go, my numbers are better than yours. Why? Who cares, man? I don't even know. I've told you my little thing about the YouTube that I think I'm shadow banned, right? I don't know if I am or not, but I think I am, and that we might have pinpointed it.
I think so,
but that's because I was looking at the numbers, because like, oh shit, I'm actually getting more views than then I have subscribers, and that's pretty cool, right? And you're doing it like at an average to where it all of a sudden drops.
But not just drops. It drops
a lot.
Drastically.
Yeah. So then that's like, all right, do I get upset or do I just go keep doing what you're doing because that's what you love to do, you know? And that's why I'm doing it. So I'm
a lot of people would have quit though.
And I've thought about it every week. I always think about quitting because I just don't know if I have time to do this. But again, it's a hobby and I love doing it.
No, but I'm saying like if someone were to see the numbers go down like that because of like some type of shadow ban like that, they would have quit. They would have just done something else. They would have, just, made a new page or so. You're sticking with it, which is good.
Well, I mean, it's okay. Here's the thing. I have a podcast. It's my platform. You have the option of listening.
Exactly.
Or just walking away. YouTube, it's their platform.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that too. Yeah,
you're right. They have the option of just, we don't like this guy, or we don't like what he put out, or because of the algorithm. Again, it's a computer. I don't think there's somebody out there going, "Fuck this guy. I don't like this dude."
Yeah,
I think it's the algorithm that picked it up and went, keyword, we don't like it, or now it goes off of voice. So if you say something they don't like,
a lot of it,
not even a keyword.
Even on YouTube, like they say not to, say certain curse words in the first 5 minute or first 5 minutes or something like that. Yeah. Or like those are people's assumptions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is what we think. This is what we gathered. But it's kind of the thing of like, let's say you're YouTube and I come into your house or I come into your studio and record an episode every week. And there might be one episode that I might have done something or said something that you don't like. You have 1,000% right to say, you know what? I don't want you here anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget that.
Yep.
A lot of people forget that on Twitter, on Instagram. They think that I got freedom of speech.
A lot of people forget that in life.
They think
in life.
Oh,
entitlement. Come on.
Amen. But even just as simple as social media, people think that that freedom of speech is included in Twitter, is included in Instagram. No, bitch. No. Guess what? You're in my house.
Yeah.
This is Twitter's house.
Yeah.
And what I say goes. And guess what? And it's a shitty way to think about it. But what I say goes. And if I don't like it, I have all right to say, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Or to block you. Or to ban you. Or to shadow ban you. And as much as we don't like it, as much as people say, oh no, that's like freedom of speech. And no. When you walk in my house, it's not freedom of speech.
Yeah. It
says freedom of speech until you say something disrespectful to me or disrespectful to my guest or my family. And that, even if it could be the most wildest thing, but I think it's offensive, I could say, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's because the same thing.
And never air whatever you recorded.
Exactly. At any point in time, you could tell me, you know what, Chris, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Or what am I going to be like? No, it's freedom of speech. Yeah, but it's your house.
Yeah.
This is your spot.
I don't have to upload this.
People forget that.
A lot of people forget user agreement.
They don't read it.
Well, nobody does.
I've never read it.
I never have.
It's 20 pages. It's like the Bible, dude.
I'm not saying anything like, oh, I've read every single thing. And no, I just know what's in it.
The gist of it.
And it pretty much means I can shut you down whenever I want. Like, I don't need, I have control over.
And what does everyone do? Oh, agree.
Yeah, because why they want that? They need to have it like Instagram. You need really like, if you don't want to be shadow banned, if you don't want to, be blocked and censored and filtered and all that, get off of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Create your own.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee you, if you want to make money off of it, you're gonna fall into that same system.
It's everybody, every app.
Yeah.
And I've accepted it. There might come a time where I post there's time I post something or whatever, and they can say at any point, oh, this was too offensive, or this was this or that. Obviously the whole COVID thing, you see the little description.
Oh, yeah.
Damn near everyone's paid. Even if you say Cove, like, that's it. It's like on the subscription or the bottom of the video, whatever. Yeah. Boom. So, I don't know. People forget that Yes, freedom of speech. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if someone takes you off of their platform.
Yeah.
Because it's their platform.
Exactly.
They spent the money to put that shit together. And they're not going to let you, Joe Schmo, come around and say whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
Whether it's true or not.
No. Even if you're in the right or the wrong.
Exactly.
Who's right or who's wrong.
I don't care if you're spitting facts, 1,000% facts.
Yeah.
It's their right. It's their right to say, you know what? We don't like the truth that you're saying.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. How many people you think tuned out of this podcast already? I'm just kidding.
They're probably like, you know what?
Like,
Fuck
these guys.
Fuck Chris. It's freedom of speech. Yeah. Sorry. I get it. Say what you want. Say exact. But don't be surprised you get banned or you get kicked out or whatever.
It is what it is.
It's a club. It's a club.
I've gotten really comfortable saying it is what it is, man. And I've always said it. But like when you understand what it is that you're actually saying, I sound even more comfortable saying it.
Yeah.
That means that you're comfortable within yourself. Let's just say, it is what it is.
Fuck it. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
I cannot change that. Traffic is traffic. It is what it is.
Oh, like
you can't change that shit.
On the way over here, I was going maybe 45 miles an hour, but I was moving. I'm on the freeway going 45. I'm just like jamming out to music.
Yeah.
All the time in the world. I even was like, I got here, pulled up, and I was just.
Relaxed. Even when I told you, give me 5 minutes.
That's what I was like.
Let me go powder my nose.
I was like, no worries. I could fucking circle the block a couple more times. I'm good. I'll jump back on the freeway. I'm that calm now.
That's what it is, man. Finding your zen, your serenity. You know, finding that's it. That's what people don't realize. That don't take life too serious, man. Just fucking live it.
Oh, dude, I live that by the book. When people freak out about traffic, and I hate it too, but it gives me a time to listen to a podcast. It gives me time to. Let's say I don't want to listen to a podcast. I just want to listen to music and just jam out to music, out to whatever. And I'm in my own little bubble and I get to control that bubble and I get to just relax, take a deep. So I'm driving like, and I drive. You want to cut me off? Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally some guy was trying to like get in. I was like, go. I literally was like, go.
Yeah.
But people are just like, I need to get there now. I need to be here now. Like, you gotta get there like right. Like, relax. If you leave early enough, you don't have to stress.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned from my dad, where like he's like that old school guy. It's like you gotta wake up at 4:30, and we gotta leave. But at the same time, like we do that so that way you're not stressed out.
Yeah.
Because if you leave that hour after and you're getting more traffic, now you're really tense on the wheel. You're worrying about people cutting you off. You got to worry about merging. You worry about, I get on this freeway.
Yeah.
Just,
you know what? Right. What you just said right now, I always try to teach my kid, always be early. It's just better to be early than be late. But I never told them that part, that it's stress-free. And that's probably the key. That's probably the most important part of the whole thing.
Exactly.
Right?
You get to your destination with your heart rate at a respectable level.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like the most punctual. I'm not like fucking 5 minutes early everywhere I go. There's times where I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get here.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, that's my fault.
Yeah.
And I've learned to accept like this is my fault. There's no one else to blame. I'm not honking at people. Oh my god, get out of the way. I've had that before. I'm driving the speed limit. Like, hey bro, just because you fucking left the house 10 minutes late, not my fault.
Right.
I've had that so many times. I remember even being 18 years old, like first got my license, I'm driving the speed limit. Someone like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm just following the rules, lady. Like, chill out. But yeah. Teach that to your kids. Just,
if anything, that's what you guys got to teach them, right?
Mm-hmm. Just relax and have less stress in your life.
Yeah.
You'll live longer.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. So that's, if anything, we're going to teach that to our kids is teach them patience. Teach them to be understanding.
That's big.
Compassionate.
Yeah.
God, dude, how many times are you these kids are, well, have you heard the phrase entitled? How many times have you heard that shit the last 2 years?
Bro, I've told you, I went back to work. I work at a school. Work with a lot of kids, a lot of different types of kids, and some of those types of kids are entitled kids. And boy, do I want to.
You don't have to say what school.
Oh no, I'll never say what school, but I guarantee there are so many kids that I just look at them like, you are so entitled. You are so entitled. It drives me insane.
You know, I've heard in the last year or two. I've heard not just entitled, but white entitlement.
I've heard that phrase thrown around a lot.
I don't like it. I don't think why don't we need to add a color to it?
Everyone
or race, because they're doing
every race you have.
Everyone
there's entitled people.
Everyone, dude. Even like Latinos, right? Like you're Puerto Rican, Peruvian.
Puerto Rican and Peruvian. Yeah.
I'm sure there's different shades in Puerto Rico, just like there's different shades in Mexico.
Oh yeah, all across the world.
So then and you're well aware that the lighter shade, both you and I are the dark meat.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna pick my hat up so you guys can see.
Oh,
but
man,
I'm the dark meat, just like Chris over here.
Oh yeah.
The lighter shade of brown is a lot more entitled than the darker shade. Am I correct or not?
Hey, you're not wrong. I'll tell you that you're not wrong. Oh, dude, I don't know why it popped in my head, but I'll never forget like going to work. I was at work, and obviously I'm outside all day. I'm gonna get a little dark.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you saw me before, I wasn't at work yet. I'm inside, not getting as much sun.
Yeah.
So
I did do a double take when you got off the car. I was like, wait, is this Chris?
Yeah. I get dark fast.
Yeah.
This is 3 weeks of work.
Yeah.
I'm dark already.
Yeah.
I'll never forget walking into a teacher's lounge and someone just turned and looked at me and was like, oh my God, you are so dark. And I was like, good morning to you too. Like,
yeah.
Not in my wildest dreams did I ever think I was going to walk in a room and someone stop what they were doing just to address how dark I am.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm outside. So I always find it funny. Mm-hmm. But so there was someone next to me like, oh my God, like that's so inconsiderate. I'm like, no, because what she said is true.
It's true.
Like, is she lying? No.
And that's another thing, right? There's a lot of people that are like standing up for somebody else when somebody else is really comfortable with just they don't give a fuck. Like, you don't have to argue for me. Like,
if I'm not mad, you're not mad.
Don't be mad.
Exactly.
Don't make it this is my problem. Don't make it yours.
Yeah.
And first of all,
don't be upset for me.
I don't have a problem with it. Why are you have a problem with it?
Exactly.
It's just one of those things with Jesus Christ.
Exactly,
Jesus.
dude.
I might even get shadow banned for saying Jesus Christ.
Dude, I remember
inappropriately.
I remember working with a teacher one time, and he was like really, really heavy into religion, and I'll never forget. Just by knowing him, he was like, "Oh, I was," when it's like one of those things where he's like, "Oh, I was saved by Jesus." And as soon as he said it, I was like, "What on earth did you do?"
Yeah.
To be, and he kind of rattled off like, he was on drugs and did all these other, all these things for drugs. Yeah. And I'll never forget, we're on our lunch break and we're sitting down, and as soon as I was about to like go, he's like, and it was funny because like he would just call me Brother Chris all day.
Yeah,
brother Chris. Can we pray really quick? And I was like, I've never prayed at work, but all right, let's pray. Here we go. We'll pray. And, people are walking in. And I'm just like, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm doing this right. Yeah. And he's, grabbing my hand. Yeah. And, like, he's, loud. Right. Like, I was like, oh, God. And it just felt, he's like, I really appreciate just breaking bread with you. And I'm just glad that Jesus saved me. So, I was like, all right, relax, guy. Like, it's just so, just
easy meeting. Victory outreach.
Yeah. Oh, just meeting so many of those like random like teachers, like the substitute teachers are the most interesting people you'll ever meet. They're so much fun.
Yeah, I know. I never worked at a school, but I was at a high school. Mm-hmm. A lot of substitute teachers when I got to experience some of that, and hell yeah, some of the substitute teachers that we had are some of the best, some of the funnest.
Yes.
Some of the boring. But
somewhere it's like, I know why you're a substitute teacher, not like teaching full time.
But at the same time, that's what made it more interesting, right? Like that they were all characters, man, and yeah, I guess you could say like now I know why you're a substitute teacher and not full time, but much respect to teachers and substitute teachers. So
I love them.
yeah,
They make my life so much more fun.
yeah.
When I get a sub, I'm like, ooh, who we getting? Like I've had a teacher who'd play his own album. I remember like working with a sub who
Like
was
music.
he was playing his own, like not just like guitar, like lyrics and all.
There you go.
And he was jamming it out with the kids, and some of the kids liked it.
Yeah.
There were some of those smart ass kids who were like,
Oh,
play
of course.
another one, mister, play another. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
I just want to be like,
Wait. He was doing like an unplugged? Like he was out there playing?
No.
Or just
Well,
like-
he had his guitar with him.
yeah.
So he did a couple live songs, but then at the end, he was like, here's my album.
Yeah.
And he put because we have a stereo.
He's out CDs, Spiders.
He had a stereo, and he would play, like we had a stereo, so he would like plug the YouTube on.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you mind if I play a couple of my songs? Like, go right ahead, man. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna crank that bad boy up. Let everybody hear it.
Yeah.
I used to have a sub in high school. He was like a regular sub. He was like an older guy, always roll in with his guitar.
Yeah.
You knew if you got this sub, no work is being done.
Nice.
He would sit right there and he's like, I'm gonna play you a little something. And he would just play all class.
Yeah.
And at the end, he'd get his, guitar case, grab his CDs, and be like, all right, those of you who are, well behaved, and he would always give them to the girls, which is a little suspect.
Little
You're like
suspect.
fucking 67 years old already.
Oh, how the kids were saying little sus.
Yeah, a little sus. This guy was sus. Definitely sus. And he would always give them to the girls like, hey, you've been my sub for like 10 times. Like he would start giving out like t-shirts.
Oh shit.
He was giving out CDs.
At a concert?
Yeah, I was like, dude, 50 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm not doing shit. I got to hear this guy play guitar, but I know I'm not getting a fucking shirt or anything. Like fucking Mary over here is gonna get it. Maria.
Yeah, Mary don't even like your ass, dude. I'm the one that's been supporting and laughing all your shit.
Yeah. Fuck.
It's like stand-up comedians,
Oh, dude. Stand-ups are a whole nother thing. I love them.
It is, man. I love it.
Are you big into stand-up?
Dude, we used to go watch my wife and I before the kids. I say BTK,
Oh, okay.
right? Before the kids.
For the kids. That's a whole nother life, huh?
It is. It is. But it's fun. I'm not hating on it. I mean,
Oh, no, yeah. It's two different lives.
I love two different. Yes. So when I see you doing your thing, and I'm like, God, man, if I was podcasting back in the day, dude, like I had my own, at 25, I had my own house in Fontana, huge fucking thing, 4 bedrooms.
Oh, you'd be a content creator.
I'm like, dude,
fuck podcast. You'd be like one of those TikTokers.
Yeah,
This is a content house.
I'd be jumping off the roof and doing all kinds of shit.
We just put content.
Yeah.
This guy just lives here. I don't even know him. Yeah, it'd be like that.
That's exactly what it would be.
It's fucking Chad. I don't know this guy.
But we didn't have that. So, we did what we did. And we hosted a lot of parties. But
hell yeah.
What was I going at? Oh, the lifestyle. Yeah, we did all that. Comedy shows. I remember being in bed at 10 on a Tuesday night, getting a call like, hey, we're here in LA off Sunset. And we'll be right
the
there.
Comedy Store?
Yeah, we'll be right there from Fontana. Get ready, head out there, and then because that's the lifestyle that you had when you're
Carefree.
BTK, right?
Yeah, for the kids.
So so we did that shit and it was fun. And we shared most of our nights were at comedy clubs.
Dude, that's
from
so
watching
awesome.
like Joey Diaz, like I don't know how fucking 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
It helps that my name's Fidel.
Yeah.
And, he's Cuban.
Oh yeah.
So that helps that my name's Fidel. I've taken a picture with that guy,
Same.
At some fight at Anaheim, I think. Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar.
That's even putting like aging yourself right there, because like that's a primetime fight.
That was like a high school fight for you?
Dude, I don't even think so. I was. I don't think I was in like. I didn't even know who they were. I don't even know who. I'll be honest with you. At that point, I probably didn't even know who they were. But now I do. Now I know, like, fuck, I missed out on that.
That was Kane and Brock Lesnar. And I remember walking to the aisles and I'm like, oh shit, Joey Diaz. And then we took a picture and all that.
Probably a little coked out.
It was fun.
He was
in
that time.
That was around that time, yeah. was fun. But yeah.
See, I saw Joey Diaz post all that. Where I saw him like how you see him now, because I saw him at the Ice House and he was just super chill. I
got to see him with the 4 or 5X t-shirt, sweatpants,
where he would be in the karate suit. Those videos.
But during that time, no, this was when he was at his biggest.
Big.
Like right before the Longest Yard, right? So he was huge and talking about like, get the little chinita and the monkey.
Yeah.
My wife's like, "What do you bring me to?" And I'm like, "No,
just fucking listen.
Listen, it's fun. It's
funny.
You're gonna love it." Joe Rogan, you'll love him.
Oh god! When you have to explain to another person like why this person's funny, or like, or when they look at you like you're laughing at this horrendous stuff that's coming out of their mouth,
that's when you're like, "All right, so I love you. We're good, but we don't."
Yeah, like at the end of the night. At the end of the night, you're just like, "It was great, huh?" You're like, "No,
just don't ever bring me here again."
I hate this man.
The only one we're good at with as far as comedians is Bert Kreischer.
Yes,
and I have to plug Julio G right behind you.
Oh,
Mr. Subway.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So, which he's gonna be coming on next week, but because those are the two that we vibe with. All right, cool. That's funny, right? That's good. But she didn't like the Joe Diaz. She didn't like that kind of comedy.
It's
but that's what
I don't blame her.
Yeah. Well, he's
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing stand up?
I would.
When you were young? No, but I'm saying like when you were younger at that point, like having that thought in your mind, like I could have done that.
No, never had the thought like that. I could have, but I've always said I've said things like, which was when you're drinking and you're just talking all kinds of shit.
I could fucking do that.
I could do that shit.
Yeah,
I could do stand up.
Yeah,
I'm funny. I make people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I mean, that's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of it's a lot of work.
A lot of writing, a lot of trial and error.
Yeah,
I remember who asked me that question, and I was like, I would love to live that life and do that. But I know, some of these guys live a crazy life.
Yeah.
But I would love to do stand up, but I know that's not in me. Like, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I was that funny. Yeah. I wish I was like fucking writing jokes like that. But I know that's not me. But I can respect it 1,000%.
Appreciate it, right?
Oh, yeah.
The work. I think you're meant to be a podcaster. I think you're meant to be. I never listened to the hot take. I'm sorry. The hot take?
Oh, the hot corner.
The hot corner.
Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, the hot corner.
The hot corner.
Yeah.
Have you? I know you said that you save everything, so you have all those saved, archived, and saved, or something.
Everything right here.
The show. It's on your phone.
I have the first kickback on my phone, and I have
how much memory is in there.
All my memory is on.
Is it on the cloud?
It's on my cloud, but all of it's on my voice memos.
Oh shit!
So right here, if I scroll all the way down, I have the very first kickback episode. That was with George Perez and Sidekick Eddie. Yeah. That was with my brother.
Yeah.
So that was the original first kickback.
Uh-huh.
And then I have the next other first kickback. I have my first interview that I did with a professional boxer. First one with a UFC fighter. Damn. And then I have the first ever hot corner that I did on a 4th of July weekend in a fucking garage. Or in not garage, a fucking RV.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all on my phone.
No, I know that's gonna be a lot of work, but I know you've talked about it. Have you ever thought about just putting it out like on demand? Like now you can put everything, you could throw everything out there and then let people just binge the whole thing. Have you ever thought about doing that? Or creating the seasons? This is a lot of work though, dude.
I would do it. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah.
Just because it's all on one.
Yeah.
If I would have to like bounce to like different devices, that'd be fucking hard.
Right.
But if it's on, since it's on one, I could probably do it.
Yeah. That'd be pretty interesting. I would love to listen to some of those.
Yeah.
The hot corner.
Yeah. When I
never heard them. So
yeah, I never had any wild takes.
Yeah.
But I would break. My thing was always, let me break things down, because a lot of sports fans, all they do is listen to SportsCenter.
Yeah.
And SportsCenter has, like most TV networks, they have an agenda. They have they're trying to push a certain athlete.
Yeah.
They're trying to push a certain team. And it just so happens that team ends up with, stuff like that.
We've all heard
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. So what I was always into was breaking down.
I said Kevin.
I'm
glad that you were able to pick up on that though quick.
Yeah, Stephen A. Because everyone listens to him and they think like his word is fucking gold.
Bible, and it's not.
Yeah. So when I would always break down, the teams that you don't hear about, I would break down, things that were actually going on, things that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
That didn't make SportsCenter. That you weren't gonna hear that on SportsCenter because it's not the Dodgers, it's not the Yankees, it's not the Lakers, it's not the Knicks. It's not the big market teams. Yeah. So I would break those down. So they were, trust me, they were fun. But then I got to a point where it was like, I love sports, but I want to talk about other stuff. Like I knew in me, I was like, I have some funny stories that I want to tell that my sports listeners aren't into.
Yeah.
Like they're just into like, give me the sports.
Yeah.
Or give me your sports, your bets. Give me your picks.
Yeah.
That's all I want. And then get the fuck out of here. Like that's all so that's where the kickback came in. So yeah, the hot corner is always fun.
I definitely want to hear some of the hot corners. So when you do, it'll be awesome and it'll be cool. I'll be all over it. I'll promote it. I'll help you out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you did that. I'm glad that you transitioned from the hot corner to the kickback, because the kickback it's really what I enjoy more than anything is listening to a bunch of guys being the fly in the wall. You know what I mean? Like in a conversation of guys that hang out and get along. Like, dude, I would have loved to have had like my high school friends or college buddies, whatever. Like, been able to hang out with them. And again, I went to college for about a cup of coffee, so I don't have.
I maybe had like two cups of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, I had and then I had like a croissant. Yeah.
But you're actually hanging out with friends like that. You built some kind of bond and relationship with them, and you guys get to do this every single week, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? It was a little selfish on my point, on my end, because when I talk to like older people, not like old, but I'm saying like people that are older than me, the one thing that always stood out was like, I lost contact with my friends. I had a family. I had this. I can't. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to be that guy that lost touch with all their friends, or they only talk maybe 3 times a year. They send each other happy birthdays or how's the family. So I immediately realized, like, you know what, I want our friendship to last a while. Like, I want it to mean something. So I was like, you know what? If there's a reason for us to hang out at least once a week, there's gonna be we'll still have that friendship, because there's something that we got to do once a week.
Yeah,
and it's gotten to that point. All of us are getting to that age where it's like things are changing in our lives where we're not available on the spot.
Yeah,
where I'm like, hey, bro, I gotta fucking work. Like, I'm not fucking this or that, or I got this to do and I got that. I gotta fucking worry about this.
Yeah.
So I immediately knew, like, there needs to be something that calls us all together, whether it's once a week or whatever. So I knew, like, if I get them involved, there's gonna be a reason for us to hang out at least once a week.
Yeah.
And luckily that's worked out, and I've been able to include everyone to where, our little group chat where we're hanging out all the time. So it's working out for now.
Yeah.
Once we get to that age where it's like so-and-so's married, and it's happened. One of our friends, has a kid, and he manned up, and, I have to worry about my kid, or, so-and-so got married and moved here. And so little by little it's happening.
Yeah.
And like I've told everybody like who listens, like, this isn't going to last forever. So enjoy it how I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because the enjoyment that you hear in my voice and talking and laughing, it's not going to last forever. It's going to whittle down to 3, because right now there's 4. It's going to whittle down to 3, then maybe 2. And then guess what? I'm going to be the lone survivor.
Yeah.
Fucking telling Jaime, hey, get your ass over here, or someone, or there's going to come a day where, like, I thought about it, like, there's going to come a day where, like, hey, everyone, this is the last kickback.
Ooh.
This is the last episode.
Yeah.
And I realized that.
Yeah.
So I didn't go into this thinking like it's gonna go on forever. Like, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I've gone into it knowing that there's an expiration date.
But yeah, obviously to anything there's an expiration date.
Yeah.
But I think going into it, how you're doing it week by week, that there's a lot that goes into that. Like your expectancy level isn't great.
Yeah.
Like where you still want to do a great show.
Exactly.
But you're doing it week by week. You're not expecting to do this forever and for the rest of your life. Let's see where next week takes us. Let's see where the following week takes us.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. Like I'm doing the same thing where I'm booked until, September. Like, thank God. I mean, it's fun. It's cool to know that you're that busy or whatever, or people still want to come on and do your shit even though the numbers are bad. But
hey, but don't look at the numbers.
But don't look at the numbers. But it's cool that they still want to do that. But there's a reason why I do it. It's just every week I just want to do something different and just do something fun. Again, for ourselves and to have this interaction, like that I would never have had. Like
exactly,
I would have never been able to talk to you.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm 40. You're 26. Like
there's no reason for us. There is no reason for us to be like.
It'd almost be weird if I was to like, hey, what's up, guy? Like it's kind of weird.
Outside of podcasting, there's no there was like no reason for us to meet up.
Right.
There'd probably be never a situation where our lives would have crossed paths.
Unless I was a professor at your school teaching you about,
or a crazy ass substitute that I had got to talk about, like this fucking guy. but yeah, it's crazy to think about that stuff. So like I said, going into it, I know that there's gonna come a time where it's gonna end because we're all getting older or we're all growing up,
right?
And like I mentioned on the Rambling Alcoholics, I told Jaime, and I remember telling this to Jaime. Well, our other co-hosts, they were all doing an interview with Jaime. That was their first podcast that was outside of the Kickback.
Oh, okay.
So that was their first experience of, being interviewed and having people ask them questions about the show. And I loved this. I was like sitting back, like loving to see the reaction. But when I brought up the moment where I was like, there's going to come a time where I have a kid, you have a kid, we all have kids, or, there's some, and I would pay money right now to hear a 23-year-old version of my dad right now. I don't know how much money. And then I told him, there's going to how much I would have loved to hear my dad bullshit with his friends.
Yeah.
Because right now I hear the stories like, oh man, because he's at that age where it's like, oh man, he died, he passed away.
Yeah.
And I could see that that pain in his voice of like, oh, I had so many good times, or him talking about like all the good times. Like I would have loved to listen that weekend they were talking about that moment.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys remember what happened this weekend? And I would pay so much money to hear that. Or to hear the bullshit that my dad went through in that moment.
Yeah.
And there's gonna come a time where it's like, I have a kid and they're learning about COVID.
Yeah.
It's in a textbook.
That right there.
They're learning about it.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna come a moment where grandkid or son or daughter or whatever, hey, you lived through that. How was that? And there's an audio version of me saying, hey, did you guys hear about this COVID stuff? Is that a legit thing?
Yeah.
There's a recorded episode of me saying that.
Yeah.
And just to think grandkid or kid is going to get to hear all those stories if they want to.
Right.
And then at the same time, there's going to come a time where I'm gone. I'm long gone. And at the same time, I know for a fact my dad would give up a fucking arm just to hear his dad's voice again.
Yeah.
Just to hear his voice, just to hear his laugh again. So for, my grandkids or for what did grandpa sound like? I didn't have that relationship with my grandparents. Yeah. They passed away before I was even born. I wish I would have heard what their voice sound like. So for us to even just record that, whether we, get big and blow up and people care about all that stuff, yeah, that'd be cool. But this is kind of our thing for our family to look back on.
Yeah.
And I know people don't think that far ahead, but I am.
Yeah.
So it's going to be that moment of people like, oh, I want to just hear my dad laugh again. I want to hear my grandpa laugh. Just shit like that. I want to hear him be fucking silly.
Yeah.
Shit like that. of which eventually will happen.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a nice thing for them to have.
When I started this, I agree with you 100%. Because when I started doing this podcast, before it was a podcast, I got this recorder right here. My wife bought it for me.
That's awesome.
She gave me, she's like, buy your recorder. Like, you need to get started. I wanted to just digitize my family talk.
Yeah.
And I was calling it, the way I was saying it was, the way I sold it to them was, think of this as digital footprints that you guys are leaving behind.
That's a great way to put it.
And from all that, we're talking 100. This is the 105th episode that I've done in Talking Again podcast, but I've done 70 on the other one, so 175.
Damn.
Out of the 175 episodes that I've done, I have a handful of family members that I've recorded with. Not everybody sees the same vision that I have, right? The same. Maybe they're afraid of putting it out there. Maybe because I created it as a podcast, as opposed to just like recording it, archiving it, and then storing it away like in a time. What do they call it? Time capsule.
Time capsule.
Time capsule. Right?
Yeah, like back then where they would bury it.
Yeah. Which familia? If my family, if you're still listening, if you're watching, I hope you are.
No, they only did a minute and then they jumped out.
They did a minute and they jump out. They give me the view.
Yeah.
I'm still willing to do that. Record with you guys. Sit down and archive it.
Yeah.
And not even put it out on air. Just archive it and leave it there behind, because I think that is important. Like, obviously it's cool that we have this podcast and it's out in the open. Everybody can listen to, because they want to be that fly in the wall, right? That we just talked about. But it's important to archive these things, because that's the only thing we have left. I remember listening to some old tapes, those cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Of like my dad's uncle that was playing a guitar, accordion, playing, and they're, these guys are not musicians, dude, not musicians.
That reminds me of my family.
There was a guitar and an accordion, and they picked it up thinking that they know how to play, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But the thing is that when those people passed away, and they did, and we got to listen to that shit, it was like,
it means so much more.
Fucking meant so much more, dude.
Like, there's no price. You can't put a price on it.
You can't.
And then it takes you back. It like even gives you that memory. Like, it takes back. I remember seeing them. They were sitting right there, playing that stupid ass accordion.
And I wasn't even close to them like that.
Yeah, but
just having that moment, though.
Exactly. Like, that's why eventually, and it's crazy because like if you talk to like my co-hosts, they love my dad. They fucking love him. They, obviously, the version of like, our parents, they were like, oh my God, your dad's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, where did you see that shit? Like, I know my dad's cool. He's awesome. But I'm just saying, like, they see a different version of my dad.
Yeah.
They don't know. Like, I remember, Edgar said something about like, he's a cool guy or whatever, or I'm a cool, interesting person. You were talking about like, how many more layers or whatever. My dad has so many layers that I've obviously heard those stories, whether it be, me sitting down with him talking about the story, the drunk stories that you sit there and you hear those like raw stories about like shit that happened to him.
Yeah.
I know it'd be a painful fucking episode. I know it'd be, and obviously that's not an episode I'd put out. That'd be for like my family.
Right.
But there's going to come a time where I want to sit down with him, whether it's for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, at portions at a time, and just go through his life story, because all the shit that he's been through, all the shit that my mom's been through, just to have that recorded, so that way when I have that kid, like I have a kid, it's going to mean more for them to hear it from him.
Yeah.
Because it's different of like, oh, let me tell you about my dad. This, no, you're going to hear it from him.
Yeah.
And then, or even like that moment for me, because I know my parents aren't going to be around forever. I'm not going to be around forever. There's going to be those days where I just sit at home. I'm like, I just want to hear his voice again. Because unfortunately for our parents, they don't get that luxury. Or, they don't get to have the option of like, oh, let me press a button and get to hear my parents' voice again.
Yeah.
I don't get to hear, because I've had those like horrible conversations and staring across someone where they're just like, I forgot, I don't remember what they sound like. And I sit there, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, that's
and I'm
crazy.
like,
Yeah.
make me cry right now. Just like,
Yeah.
just to think. And then to be honest, it happens because they don't have that. So just to have that little time capsule of like just getting to hear his voice again. So that way at any given moment, I can hear his voice again.
Yeah.
Or I can hear my mom's voice again. So like those little things, I encourage everyone, just sit down and with your, if you have that luxury still, I mean, let them just talk about funny stories.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be sad. Let them talk about like, oh, what happened, when you were this age, and they could talk about funny stories. It could be as lighthearted as possible.
Let them dictate the conversation, right? Let
exactly.
them,
because it'll be for you at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's deep. And it's 100% true.
At the end of the day.
And to go off of that, you don't even need these microphones. You don't need a fancy recorder.
You need
all you need is a fucking phone.
That's it.
And turn on the recorder and just
everyone has it.
Everybody has it. And that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah. That's
it's
all you need.
In digitized form. Jesus.
Or people, obviously nowadays people are recording stuff.
Right.
So they have those visual, at least. They have those visual
moments.
That's
even better. That's like just putting,
That's the awesome part of technology, right?
Right?
People shit about it and, oh my God, he's fucking making our kids dumb or this or that. At the end of the day, if you use technology right, it's going to be beneficial for you at some point. I've
always said it, you got to control it. Don't let it control you. Like I've always said that, it's just, once you allow these things to control you, then you've lost, Not that it was a competition or anything like that, but you have lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, dude, thanks. This is awesome.
There you go.
I know we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind, can we wrap this up in a kickbox? I'm already.
Oh yeah, luckily I've said it 94 times.
There you go.
The Kickback Podcast.
The Kickback Podcast.
So
I want to hear what's on tap.
What's on tap? So for those of you who don't know, every episode we do a segment called What's on Tap. Sometimes it's in the beginning. Sometimes it's in the middle of the episode. Sometimes we'll do 3 hours and it's like, oh shit, hour 2, we forgot to do What's on Tap.
Yeah.
So what's on tap today? It is called El Diablo, the fucking devil.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of weird. Masons. I don't even know why I picked this. It's kind of scary.
Nipples.
Yeah. So this is a Mexican style lager. For those of you who don't know, who are in the craft beer community, might not know too much about craft beer. A Mexican style lager is a good way to get yourself into that craft beer community because it's not going to be a heavy beer. This is what
very light,
4.4%. It's like a Modelo. It's like a any type of Dos Equis type of style beer. But at the same time, I know I hear those people say like, oh, well, if it's fucking just like a Modelo, then why don't you just buy a Modelo? Same time, this is made with natural ingredients. This isn't like, have corn syrup in it. And it's like this is made, handmade, I guess you would call it. And so it's a Mexican style lager, 4.4%, from Mason's Brewing Company in Maine. This is interesting.
And there's Mexicans in Maine.
There's Mexicans everywhere.
There's everywhere.
If there's one thing I've learned, there's Mexicans everywhere. It's called El Diablo.
I think one of the most important things with Mexican lagers, from what I've experienced, is that when they craft them, they kind of craft them with the hint of lime and salt already in the beer.
Yes.
That's what makes it a Mexican lager.
Exactly. And to be honest, I've never had this beer before.
It's pretty damn good.
It's good. It's really good. And then for those of you who really aren't into craft beer, but you always see these you think they're hipsters or whatever. If you go to a craft beer or a brewery, I encourage you. This is how I got into craft beer. If you get a hazy beer, just ask them for their hazy beer, and it's a little bit more of a 4.4%.
Oh yeah.
You'll see a 6, a 7. Sometimes they'll get a double. You'll see the 8 or whatever, but they're not as strong or bitter as some people would think a craft beer would be. So if you're not into Mexican style lagers like that, like a Modelo or whatever, ask for a hazy, or go to a local type of liquor stores are doing it now too. Yeah. So you check that out, ask for a hazy or look for a hazy.
Yeah,
you won't go wrong.
Good. This one's really good. It hits the spot even at room temp, because we've been recording for a little over an hour. These bad boys are about room temp already.
Yeah,
And
cold. They were fucking
cold. Are great, but it's not even that bad at room temp. And if you ever had a beer at room temp, there's some that are like a Corona you cannot have at room temp.
but ice cold. Fuck.
Oh, ice cold Corona. Oh yeah. I'll take.
I could drink. It's like drinking water. Like you could just chug it away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But at room, but
Room
if it's
temp?
room temp,
No, I'll take.
get that shit out of my
Get
face.
it out of my face.
Get it out of my face. Yeah, this is not bad though.
This is good stuff.
I like it.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that. I appreciate you all the time that you gave me and you allotted here. I know that
Anytime.
I know that Talking Again podcast has changed to like 30 minutes or less, but that ain't gonna happen. I said 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Every episode's free.
Yeah,
my
no
friend.
shit, all right. Fucking on YouTube.
30 minutes are free. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Tune in, check him out, Chris at Kickback Podcast,
LA.
LA, on Instagram, Spotify, pretty much everywhere you can.
Exactly.
Every major platform, right?
Yeah, everywhere. Obviously, we're kind of dabbling with YouTube. Eventually, we'll get there. But any other audio podcast platform, check us out. Check us out on our Instagram. There's plenty of clips of the episodes that you can listen to. Some of the hardest moments I've laughed are on those little clips, so check those out. And I appreciate you having me on. I know I'm not here to like promote myself or anything. I think of podcasting as just hanging out. Like I think every episode I do is like a kickback.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna try to promote too crazy or anything. But thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. And my door is always open.
Oh, thank you.
And I know we're gonna end up doing another, big podcast where like all of the other
round
podcasts,
table type of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
You got something going there, man. I like. Thanks for inviting me. And
you were the number one. You and Andy were like,
yeah,
they're for sure locks.
Yeah. No. Let me know, man. When you ever want to do another one, I'm down. Even if it's with other guests, you want to mix it up, I'm down to just hit me up. As long as it makes sense in my schedule.
Exactly.
Then we're good to go.
Yeah. I already have some people in mind that I'm interested in you meeting.
Okay.
Other podcasters that I've talked to.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I want Fidel to meet this guy. And
I'm down. I'm game.
Hell yeah.
Well, so as you guys know, I got my notes. We didn't even get to most of these notes, so
for part 2,
we'll save it for that. How's that? Yeah.
I agree.
All right, man. That's it. We're out of here. This is Fidel. That's Chris. Talking Again podcast. We're out. Cheers.
A little bit, yeah. Hosted by Fidel. Tell it like it is, only tell it real. Live every Tuesday, you know the deal. We talking again. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. We talking again. Come on.